Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about a quiet Katie Clark post that unexpectedly sparked much bigger conversations online. What started as an emotional video about exhaustion and healing quickly led followers back to Katie's newest clarification about losing around 90% of her family relationships, including some of the strongest statements she has shared publicly in months. In this video, we're breaking down the emotional message, the clarification that got people talking, and why many longtime followers think Katie's recent updates are showing a noticeable shift in the way she talks about pain, healing, and the people around her. Let's get into everything that's fueling the discussion. Katie Clark is getting people talking again after sharing a post that felt noticeably different from the everyday family content followers are used to seeing. In the short video, Katie stood alone on a cruise ship deck, looking out at the ocean with no explanation, no long caption, and no direct mention of anything happening in her personal life. The entire post was quiet. But ironically, that silence seemed to spark even more curiosity. The timing also stood out, especially as Katie has spent the last several months becoming more open about healing, relationships, and difficult personal experiences. The video featured motivational audio that did not appear to be Katie's own voice, but the message immediately caught attention. Phrases like, "You're going to be okay," "I know your mind is loud," "I know your chest feels tight," and "I know your thoughts won't sit still" painted a picture of emotional exhaustion and internal struggles. The message continued with, "But this moment won't break you," followed by "You're tired, not weak," and "You're overwhelmed, not failing." For many viewers, the tone felt less like generic motivation and more like reassurance for someone trying to survive a difficult season. Instead of pushing positivity, the message acknowledged burnout, anxiety, and feeling emotionally drained. The post drew even more interest because Katie chose not to explain it. There was no detailed caption giving context and no follow-up clarifying what the video meant. That silence quickly led some followers to wonder whether the message was simply relatable content or something connected to the more personal topics Katie has discussed in recent months. Over time, Katie has spoken more openly about therapy, emotional healing, difficult relationships, and learning to protect her peace. Because of that, many longtime followers did not view the newest post as an isolated moment. They saw it as part of a larger pattern. Things became even more talked about when Katie also shared a clarification regarding earlier comments about losing around 90% of her family relationships. She opened the statement by writing, "To clarify what I meant when I said I lost about 90% of my family relationships." The wording immediately stood out because it sounded much more direct than previous comments. Katie seemed determined to explain that the shift in family relationships did not happen overnight. According to her, it was tied to a much deeper process involving healing and confronting painful experiences from the past. In the same clarification, Katie explained that after choosing to address painful parts of her childhood, she learned that honesty and healing are not always met with support. She wrote, "After choosing to address painful things from my childhood, I quickly learned that not everyone responds to honesty and healing with support." Katie went on to say that some people chose silence, some chose distance, and others avoided uncomfortable truths altogether. She added, "Some people choose silence. Some choose distance." For many followers, those words became one of the strongest public statements Katie had shared regarding strained relationships and emotional hurt. The tone became even more serious when Katie added, "Neutrality doesn't always equal innocence, and it certainly doesn't equal support." That sentence quickly fueled online discussion because some people interpreted it as disappointment toward those who remained silent during painful periods in her life. Katie never mentioned names or specific situations, but many followers believed the emotion behind the statement was impossible to ignore. Sympathy poured in, while others praised Katie for speaking more openly. At the same time, some people started speculating about what may have happened behind the scenes. Still, the line that received perhaps the most attention was her closing statement, "I stayed silent for a long time and I'm not doing that anymore." For longtime followers, the message felt different from the version of Katie they had known in the past. Many viewed it as someone finally refusing to stay quiet after years of protecting relationships or avoiding difficult conversations. The statement was short, but it quickly became one of the most quoted parts of online discussions surrounding Katie. Combined with her newest reflective video, some followers started feeling like they were seeing a noticeably different side of her. It did not take long for online forums to fill with reactions. Some users said they believed Katie had changed significantly over the last several months. Others argued that therapy may have helped her confront difficult experiences and become more confident in setting emotional boundaries. Several comments admitted they never expected Katie to speak this openly about healing, painful memories, or shifting family dynamics. The conversation gradually moved beyond one post and became centered on Katie herself and how much people believe she has changed. Interestingly, many discussions stopped treating each update as a separate event. Instead, some followers began connecting multiple difficult periods in Katie's life over the last several months, including loss, changing personal relationships, therapy, and other struggles she has mentioned publicly. In their view, those experiences no longer looked like isolated moments. They looked like pieces of a much larger transition happening in Katie's life. Because of that, the newest video featuring messages like "You're tired, not weak" was seen by some as more than motivational content. To them, it felt connected to an emotional journey that has slowly unfolded in public. Still, those interpretations remain opinions from followers rather than direct explanations from Katie herself. Another detail that caught attention was the difference in tone between Katie's clarification and her newest video. The statement about losing family relationships sounded firm, disappointed, and deeply personal. The recent video sounded softer. There was no anger and no attempt to explain pain. Instead, the message centered around surviving difficult moments and reminding people that exhaustion is not weakness and feeling overwhelmed is not failure. That shift led some followers to believe Katie's newer posts sound less like confrontation and more like recovery. In the end, that may be exactly why Katie's newest post generated more attention than expected. The video did not contain shocking revelations or a dramatic confession, yet appearing alongside conversations about healing, therapy, and losing family relationships caused many followers to see a bigger picture. Not necessarily a new controversy, but a visible change. And for people who have followed Katie's updates since the beginning of the year, that change may be the part they find hardest to ignore. And that's a wrap on this latest Katie Clark update. What started as one quiet video and an emotional message quickly turned into bigger conversations about healing, painful experiences, changing family relationships, and Katie's own clarification about losing around 90% of those connections. So what do you think about Katie's recent posts? Do they feel like simple motivational content, or do you think followers are noticing a real shift in how openly she's speaking lately? Let us know your thoughts in the comments because this topic is definitely getting people talking. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future updates. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.